Hey everyone, I'm back at the desktop today. Still having some trouble with the iPad as far as storage goes and using the Clips app, so we're going to do the best we can at the desktop PC. So we're going to make string phones today, and we did make one of these a few weeks ago. I brought one in class, and remember we had the string the whole length of the room, kind of diagonal. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, and I think it might have had something to do with how long the string is. I think we may have made it a little bit too long. It was harder to hear, maybe some outside distractions. So what I want to do today is make a smaller version. All the supplies you should have around the house, so you could do it there. And then what I'd like to do eventually is make it in class too. So I've got my cup. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And we're going to use the sound waves for this activity. So the sound waves are created by vibrations. So when you hear something, you're basically hearing vibrations in the air. So it's someone's voice, it's a car running, those are all vibrations that come to your ear. Now, when we use the phone with the string, when I speak into the cup like this, those sound waves travel in the air and my voice vibrates inside the cup. Does it sound a little bit different, like it's in there, like a little muffled? You can hear my voice change when I speak into the cup this way. So I can feel the cup vibrating when I'm holding it like this. I actually felt the cup vibrating. So those sound waves are getting trapped in the air inside my cup like this. So those waves go to the bottom of the cup and then they travel through the string all the way to the other side where my other cup would be. So in this activity, we're going to try different cups, maybe try different lengths of string to see what works, what doesn't work so well. I tried solo cups at first because that's all we had at home, but paper cups, we'll see if that works any better, styrofoam cups, and we'll check it out and see. I'm going to start with styrofoam cups first. I use like a little screwdriver or a pencil if you have one. I like the styrofoam cups because the hole is directly in the middle. So I'm going to start out with a smaller hole. If I need to make it bigger, I can. But I started out right in that little nub in the middle there. And I'm going to do the same to the other side. The styrofoam cups are really nice too because they're super soft. They're easy to punch a hole through. These solo cups, not as easy, but it can still happen. I have some yarn here. You might not have yarn at home, but you may have floss at home unless you use the plackers like we do. So you could try a piece of floss and see if that works. Any strings that you might have laying around. So before, we had it be super long. The string was really long, and that might have been part of our issue. So I'm going to go maybe one adult arm's length from side to side here. And I'm going to snip this off with my scissors. And let's see about how long an arm's length is. I'll measure it with my measuring tape here. Right to the edge. So all the way down to the floor. Stop it right here. So almost 5 foot long. Could probably make it a little shorter if we wanted to. Got my arm's length. It'll be a little bit shorter once I tie everything off. So to get the string through the hole, I'm going to wet it. I have some water over here. If you're comfortable and you want to lick it with your mouth, I guess that's okay. But in school, we're going to be a little more sanitary than that. I'm going to use it to thread inside there. If you're home and mom and dad say it's okay, or grandma, then I go for it. So I pulled my string out of here. I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little knot with my string. And I'm definitely not an expert knot maker. I think this might be called the granny knot. It's almost like you're tying your shoes. You just do it a couple times. You can see the knot. I want to just make sure that it doesn't pull through. Now, the deal is when I make my phone that I need the string, the yarn, to be tight. When it's tight, the sound waves will travel. If the string is loose, the sound is less. You won't be able to hear it as much. So even if it's like this is still pretty loose. We want it to be tight like that. This is because the string causes the vibrations to travel all around rather than directly down the string. So I want it to be tight. If it's this way, the vibrations travel all around rather than going straight down here. So trying with different lengths is a good idea. I just did an arm's length like this. But because it needs to be tight, you don't want your string to come through there like I just did there. If you pull it too tight, it'll be all ready to go and it pops out. So I'm going to try and string it through again. And that's the toughest part, sometimes getting your hand inside the cup if it's a smaller cup. Might make my hole slightly bigger, but not too big. I'm just grabbing a little bit through there. And I'm going to add a couple more knots to this, make it a little bit bigger, so that when I pull it tight, it doesn't slide through. There's my big knot right here. Now, another thing I've seen people do, and I've had success with in my other cup, I even used a paper clip. I tied my knot to the paper clip, I pulled it through, and then I used a piece of tape to tape the paper clip down and keep it more secure. For this one, I'm just going to keep like this. And we can see what works better. Do you like using the paper clip method to hold it on there a little bit better? Wetting my string in my little pan of water here. So when I do it, I put it through the inside of my cup. And this one I'm putting it through this side here. Just trim the edge there so that it can go through. And I think the toughest part is just getting it to go through the hole there, but I got it. And I'm going to tie this off. Let's see if I can move this down a little bit. So these string cup phones are very similar to the old landline phone. I don't know if anybody still has one of those at home. We do, because Mrs. Keir is old school like that. We never use it. We get a lot of courtesy calls. But the landline phones, they were created using the same principle as a string telephone. The sound waves were turned into an electrical signal that can travel much farther than a simple string. So it's kind of the same concept, but better with those landlines. And with a landline, at least you don't have to worry about getting service. It's usually a pretty clear sound or voice on the other end. So I nodded this a handful of times. Pull it through. Right inside like that. And I've got my cup phone. What you could do is, after you practice with a few times and it works, you could even decorate it. Put some designs on the side. We'll add a little bit of art to it. It's not going to be as nice as Mrs. Mirtha, but I'm a fan of Batman. So maybe I'll draw the bat symbol. We can call it the bat phone. Then you can take your time, color it in. On the other side, you could be communicating with Robin if you wanted to. We'll put kind of a fancy R for Robin. Add any decorations that you want to it. So the key is that it definitely needs to be stretched out tight. And the only thing you need to keep in mind when you do this is that you don't pull it too tight that it pulls the string out. And that's why the other method that I had here was adding the paper clip and the tape to kind of firm it up a little bit. So this is definitely a hardier, more durable string cup phone, but you might only have these, and that's why I kind of want to make these that everybody had these supplies. When you try this experiment, I would definitely make sure that your mouth is like right inside the cup there, and then that the other person, you guys need to make sure that you're listening when the other person's talking, almost similar to like a walkie-talkie, where if you're both trying to talk at once, it won't work as well. So if you kind of think of like, once one person's done talking, the other person try, or kind of work something out ahead of time. But you definitely want to make sure you put it over your ear too. I'm going to take this off. So when you talk into it, put it over my ear there before. Again, when I talk into it here, I can definitely feel the vibrations of my voice in the cup. So those vibrations travel through the cup in the air. They go through the string, and if the string is kept tight, the sound waves will travel better. It needs to be a tight string, not so tight that it pops out of the bottom, but when it's loose like this, even like that, the sound won't be as good, because the loose string causes the vibrations to travel all around rather than directly down the string when it's tight like that. So you could try different lengths so you can see what works better. If you don't have any yarn or string at home, maybe even try floss. That would be a little bit tougher to tie. I would definitely recommend, if you have like a paper clip, maybe using that method to it, tying it and taping it down like I did inside here. I don't think you can tell. There's tape, and it's on the paper clip. When I tied the string to the paper clip, I'll just use a little bit here to show you guys. I'm just using a very short piece here. You can see my messy desk. All I did was loop it around through the hole. slip off the paper clip. I slid it kind of in the middle here so that it wasn't close to the edge. That way if it does pull, it's kind of right here. Instead of it sliding off, I wouldn't put it like right on that top piece here. I'm putting it underneath. Just gives you a little more opportunity to pull it so that your string is tighter without it sliding off. And then I put it inside the cup. And what you could do, I always put the tape in last, but I wonder if you put the tape on it first, like that, and then slid the string through. Would it stick easier? Would that be easier or harder? There's different ways to try it. So it doesn't have to be exactly like I did here at school. As long as we're experimenting with those vibrations, those sound waves, you might hear it better, you might hear it worse, depending on how the string you use or how long it is. I think it would be interesting to compare the styrofoam cups to the plastic solo cup. I saw a lot of people also online try just the paper cups too. Use whatever you have at home. As long as you're taking a break from the iPad, getting out there exploring with this, I think that's what's important too, and just getting into some hands-on science. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later.